Exodus chapter 6. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Now shall you see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And Elohim spoke to Moses, and said to him, I am Yahweh, and I appeared to Abraham, and to Isaac, and to Jacob, by the name of El Shaddai. But by my name Yahweh I was not known to them. And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, in which they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say to the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you an Elohim, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brings you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you into the land concerning that which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a heritage. I am Yahweh. And Moses spoke so to the children of Israel, but they did not listen to him, Moses, for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Go in, speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses spoke before Yahweh, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not listened to me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? And Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, and gave them a charge to the children of Israel, and to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok, and Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jemuel, and Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin, and Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanitish woman. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations, Gershon, and Kohath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni, and Shimi, according to their families. And the sons of Kohath, Amram, and Izhar, and Hebron, and Uzziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. And the sons of Merari, Mahali, and Mushi. These are the families of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took to him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. And the sons of Izhar, Korah, and Nepheg, and Zichri. And the sons of Uzziel, Mishael, and Elzaphan, and Zithri. And Aaron took to him Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Naashon, to wife, and she bore him Nadab, and Abihu, and Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the sons of Korah, Asir, and Elkanah, and Abiasap. These are the families of the Korhites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took him of the daughters of Putiel to wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers of the Levites according to their families. These are that Aaron and Moses, to whom Yahweh said, Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies. These are they which spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. And it came to pass on the day when Yahweh spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, that Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, I am Yahweh. Speak you to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you. And Moses said before Yahweh, Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh listen to me? End of chapter. Exodus chapter 7. And Yahweh said to Moses, See, I have made you as Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh, that he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not listen to you. that I may lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth my armies, and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as Yahweh commanded them, so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke to Pharaoh. And Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak to you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then you shall say to Aaron, Take your rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they did as Yahweh had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. And then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up theirs. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he did listen not to them, as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said to Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuses to let the people go. Get you to Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goes out to the water, and you shall stand by the river's brink against the time that he shall come, and the rod which was turned into a serpent shall you take in your hand, and you shall say to him, Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews has sent me to you, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness. And behold, until now you would not hear. Thus says Yahweh, In this you shall know that I am Yahweh. Behold, I will strike with the rod that is in my hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that are in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, Say to Aaron, Take your rod, and stretch out your hand upon the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, and that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so as Yahweh commanded. And he lifted up the rod, and struck the waters that were in the river in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank. And the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did he listen to them, as Yahweh had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house. Neither did he set his heart to this also. And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink the water of the river. And 7 days were fulfilled after that Yahweh had struck the river. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 8. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, Go to Pharaoh, and say to him, Thus says Yahweh, Let my people go, that they may serve me. And if you refuse to let them go, behold, I will plague all your borders with frogs. And the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into your house, into your bedchamber, and upon your bed, and into the house of your servants, and upon your people, and into your ovens, and into your kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both on you, and upon your people, and upon all your servants. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, Say to Aaron, Stretch forth your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt. Well, then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron, and said, Entreat Yahweh that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do sacrifice to Yahweh. And Moses said to Pharaoh, Be pleased to command me. When shall I entreat for you and for your servants and for your people to destroy the frogs from you and your houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, Tomorrow. And he said, Be it according to your word, that you may know that there is none like to Yahweh, our Elohim. And the frogs shall depart from you, and from your houses, and from your servants, and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh. And Moses cried to Yahweh because of the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. And Yahweh did according to the word of Moses. And the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, and out of the fields. And they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when Pharaoh saw that there was respite, he hardened his heart, and listened not to them, as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said to Moses, Say to Aaron, Stretch out your rod, and strike the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and struck the dust of the earth, and it became lice in the man, and in beast, and all the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice, but they could not. And so there was lice upon man and upon beast. Well, then the magicians said to Pharaoh, This is the finger of Yahweh. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he did not listen to them, as Yahweh had said. And Yahweh said to Moses, Rise up early in the morning, stand before Pharaoh. Lo, he comes forth to the water, and say to him, Thus says Yahweh, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if you will not let my people go, I will send swarms of flies upon you, and upon your servants, and upon your people, and into your houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground upon where they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, to the end that you may know that I am Yahweh in the midst of the earth. And I will put a division between my people and your people. Tomorrow shall this sign be. And Yahweh did so. And there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron, and said, Go you, sacrifice to your Elohim in the land. And Moses said, It is not proper to do so, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to Yahweh our Elohim. Lo, we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, and will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey from here into the wilderness, and sacrifice to Yahweh our Elohim as he shall command us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, so that you may sacrifice to Yahweh your Elohim in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Ask for me. And Moses said, Behold, I go out from you, and I will ask Yahweh that the swarms of flies may depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people tomorrow. But let not Pharaoh deal deceitfully any more in not letting the people go to sacrifice to Yahweh. And Moses went out from Pharaoh, and asked Yahweh, and Yahweh did according to the word of Moses. And he removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people, and there remained not one. And Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go. End of chapter. Exodus, chapter 9. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Go to Pharaoh, and tell him, Thus says Yahweh Elohim of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go, and will hold them still, behold, the hand of Yahweh is upon your cattle which are in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous plague. And Yahweh shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die of all that is in the children of Israel. And Yahweh appointed a set time, saying, Tomorrow Yahweh shall do this thing in the land. And Yahweh did that thing on the next day, and all the cattle of Egypt died. But of the cattle of the children of Israel, not one died. And Pharaoh sent, and behold, there was not one of the cattle of the Israelites dead. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And Yahweh said to Moses and to Aaron, Take to you handfuls of ashes of the furnace, and let Moses sprinkle it toward the heaven in the sight of Pharaoh, and it shall become small dust in all the land of Egypt, and there shall be a boil breaking forth with blisters upon man and upon beast throughout all the land of Egypt. And they took ashes of the furnace, and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up toward heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blisters upon man and upon beast. And the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boil was upon the magicians, and upon all the Egyptians. And Yahweh hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and he listened not to them, as Yahweh had spoken to Moses. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say to him, Thus says Yahweh, Elohim of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon your heart, and upon your servants, and upon your people, that you may know that there is none like me in all the earth. For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may send judgment upon you and your people with pestilence, and you shall be cut off from the earth. And in very deed for this cause have I raised you up, to show in you my power, that my name may be declared throughout all the earth. And yet you exalt yourself against my people, that you will not let them go. Tomorrow, about this time, I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as not been seen in Egypt since the foundation of it even until now. Send therefore now, and gather your cattle, and all that you have in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. He that feared the word of Yahweh among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that did not regard the word of Yahweh left his servants and his cattle in the field. And Yahweh said to Moses, Stretch forth your hand toward heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven. And Yahweh sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along the ground, and Yahweh rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail, and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation. And the hail struck down all that were in the field throughout all the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And the hail struck down every herb of the field, and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail. And Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron, and said to them, I have sinned this time. Yahweh is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. Ask Yahweh, for it is enough, that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer. And Moses said to him, As soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread forth my hands to Yahweh, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall be there any more hail, that you may know now that the earth is Yahweh's. But as for you and your servants, I know that you will not yet fear Yahweh Elohim. And the flax and the barley were ruined, for the barley was in the ear, and the flax was bold. But the wheat and the rye were not ruined, for they were not yet grown up. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread forth his hands to Yahweh, and the thunder and hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth. And when Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunders were ceased, he sinned yet more, and hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, neither would he let the children of Israel go, as Yahweh had spoken through Moses. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 10. And Yahweh said to Moses, Go in to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him, and that you may tell in the ears of your son and of your son's son what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that you may know how that I am Yahweh. And Moses and Aaron came in to Pharaoh and said to him, Thus says Yahweh, Elohim of the Hebrews, How long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may serve me. Else if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will bring the locusts to your coast, and they shall cover the face of the earth, that one cannot be able to see the earth. And they shall eat the residue of that which is escaped, which remains to you from the hail, and shall eat every tree which grows for you out of the field. And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Egyptians, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were upon the earth to this day. And he turned himself, and went out from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, How long shall this man be a snare to us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahweh their Elohim. Do you not know yet that Egypt is destroyed? And Moses and Aaron were brought again to Pharaoh, and he said to them, Go, serve Yahweh your Elohim. But where are they that shall go? And Moses said, We will go with our young and with our old, and with our sons and with our daughters, with our flocks and with our herds will we go. For we must hold a feast to Yahweh. And he said to them, Yet let Yahweh be so with you, as I will let you go, and your little ones. Look to it, for evil is in front of you. Not so. Go now, you that are men, and serve Yahweh. For that you did desire. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence. And Yahweh said to Moses, Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt for the locusts, that they may come up upon the land of Egypt, and eat every herb of the land, even all that the hail has left. And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and Yahweh brought an east wind upon the land all that day, and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt, and rested in all the coasts of Egypt. Very grievous were they. Before them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such. For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. And they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees, nor or in the herbs of the field throughout all the land of Egypt. And then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron in haste, and he said, I have sinned against Yahweh your Elohim, and against you. Now, therefore, forgive, I ask you, my sin only this once, and ask Yahweh your Elohim that he may take away from me this death only. And he went out from Pharaoh, and asked Yahweh. And Yahweh turned a mighty strong west wind, which took away the locusts, and cast them into the Red Sea. There remained not one locust in all the coasts of Egypt. But Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go. And Yahweh said to Moses, Stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven. And there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They did not see one another, neither did any rise from his place for 3 days, but all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called to Moses and said, Go, serve Yahweh. Only let your flocks and your herds be staying behind. Let your little ones also go with you. And Moses said, You must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice to Yahweh our Elohim. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not a hoof be left behind, for of that must we take to serve Yahweh our Elohim. We do not know with what we must serve Yahweh until we come there. But Yahweh hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said to him, Get you away from me. Take heed to yourself. See my face no more, for in that day that you see my face, you shall die. And Moses said, You have spoken well. I will see your face no more. End of chapter.